everybody, it's me, your pal Orphan. You know me from my live stream. So, what am I doing in virtual reality? I am here to introduce you to our brand new video podcast series called Where the Nerd Things Are. We are going to be doing it here in this amazing virtual space in a game called Demeo, produced and developed by Resolution. They were kind enough to give us permission to utilize the fantastic fantasy setting that they have. The hangout space is amazing. The game space where the actual gameplay occurs is amazing. We're going to get all into that, but we're going to thank them right now. Thank you, Resolution, developers of Demeo, for giving us this amazing opportunity to have a great atmosphere for our video podcast. So join me as I step through this curtain and I'll introduce you to my co-hosts. Let's go, shall we? We are in the hangout. We've got our two co-hosts. We've got Helmhouse and Regular Size Rudy. And they're going to be joining us every episode of
Yes, we will.
The Grapevine. These are my two partners in crime, and we're going to be bringing you all kinds of fun, nerdy, factual things. Nice. So today, with our first adventure, our topic is going to be the great video game crash of 1983, and the following bit wars that came as a result of that, leading into obviously what we know as gaming today. Oop! I gotta stop moving around. That's the fun of VR podcasting.
If you're not careful, you're all over the place.
That's right. Oh my gosh. I'm just trying to rotate.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi.
How you doing?
Hi. Trying to rotate. I'm trying to be in this chair like I was earlier.
You are.
Oop.
You were just there. Wasn't he?
Perfect.
He was just there.
We got it. Nailed it. This is the way it's got to be. Okay, so.
Nice.
The video game crash of 1983. Wow, what a time, huh? We wouldn't imagine that video games were that big that they could cause such a commotion in 1983. Shit, we
I know enough about it. Wasn't there. But
yeah, wasn't there. Learned a lot about it though. Helm was probably there for part of it.
I was alive.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, Helm, didn't you have the first video game system? Didn't you have the first video game console?
Like dude, you were perfect time.
Tennis for two on old radar equipment?
Grandfather, my grandma, my maternal grandparents had Pong. I remember that. And then I had the 26 and the 7200 from Atari, and then eventually the NES. And then we didn't get the NES. My mom and her infinite wisdom got the Sega Master System.
Master System was a good system, though.
It was a great system.
Pong was
but
actually
I wasn't with the cool kids and having a Nintendo.
Pong was actually, you were one of the cooler kids that had the Sega Master System, though. Pong actually was one of the first mass-produced home consoles. The first video game, Pong was based off the first video game made out of old radar equipment called Tennis for Two. It was pretty wild. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Fun. The Pong console idea. I'll let you continue that thought in 1 second, though. The Pong console idea, it actually expanded more than just the Pong game to pretty much mean any console that came with its own game built into it. So there were like Pong games. There were a couple of shitty racing games that these Pong systems would have built into them, and it was basically any pre-generated game in a console like that.
A joystick and a button.
That's right.
I was just gonna say I also had the 2600 as well. So, but that was numero uno on the systems that I've owned.
Now see,
I shortly switched over to the Genesis and the NES, but
yeah, the Genesis was one of my more favorite ones. That and the Super Nintendo, and then the Super Nintendo was like what created like the mainstream the fighter games.
Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. That was
the fighting games became a big thing on there. Real quick,
Mhm.
I'm gonna bring it back to the SNES in a moment. I also had the 2600 Atari console, but as well as the 26, I had the 5200 and the 7200 and the 7800. The only Atari console I didn't have was the handheld Lynx and the Atari
Didn't have that
Jaguar, which was the first.
No, I
Didn't have a Jaguar.
The Jaguar was the first 64-bit console.
CD. Wasn't that a CD? Wasn't
No,
Jaguar
it
a
was still a
CD at that
cartridge.
point? No.
No.
It was still a cartridge.
Still a cartridge.
But before
What about-
we push on to that, I just want to.
The Neo Geo.
Neo Geo was good.
It's another
It was
game, right?
also cartridges. I
Yeah.
love Neo Geo games.
Yep.
I thanked Demio in the dressing room when we started, but like, just take a moment to like look around at all this cool stuff in this space, guys. This is a great space, and they have been gracious enough to allow us to film this round of shenanigans. I mean, every round of shenanigans that we do in this, we are allowed to film here. They gave us permission. They got a suction cup bow and arrow game. Helms picked it up. There's on the other side of that wall over there, there's an actual factual arcade. I just whacked that. There's an actual factual arcade box. Hey, Rudy's got one of the dice. Toss it over, Rudy. Oh,
Throw there.
It was a bad throw. Well, there's a couch and a wall behind me, so I can't grab that. There's also a book on the pedestal. This is the table in the center over there behind Helm is actually where you can set up your campaigns. This game here, we're actually going to do an episode on Demio in the near future. This is it's like a Dungeons and Dragons style game. They've got 3 different campaigns to play through right now. We're actually going to go in depth, so I don't want to tell you too much, but it's a Dungeons and Dragons style game that takes place in an 80s style basement. Thank you, Vanna. That'll be all. Do you know that Vanna White, fun fact since I mentioned it, Vanna White holds the Guinness Book World Record for most times clapped hands.
Get out of here.
Yeah. That's right.
Vanna White has the record for doing this.
Probably most one times.
Out of here.
Yep.
Most times, fapped hands too, right? Was there a Playboy centerfold?
No, Vanna White was never a Playboy centerfold.
Yes, she was.
Was she really?
No, get out of here.
You're a liar.
She had that was a huge. I think that was an actual pretty big, very popular
Was it like 1991?
magazine sale. That magazine, I guess, was one of the more popular. It was like a big to do. I remember that. Vanna White. Kids, do not go with us at home.
She's like
Since we're
73 now.
deviating, she is. She looks good though. Since we're deviating, did
She
you
looks
know
great.
Did you know that the Madonna issue of Playboy?
May of '87.
Wow,
May of '87.
Wow.
87.
She
The
was the cover
Madonna
girl
issue?
for Playboy.
See, CoverGirl's
Oh.
different than the centerfold. That's different.
Well, she was in it. I know she was in it. And she was in it without clothes.
So
I've heard.
since you brought it up, the Madonna issue of Playboy
Allegedly.
was the last stapled issue of Playboy. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. The
because then
Madonna
they went
issue.
to the glue
Staple.
theme, right?
Yeah, they went to the.
They went to
Yeah,
glue.
staple,
Yep.
stitching.
Yeah.
In
All right, we're
the
getting way off
web
track
press
tonight.
business,
I love it.
Yeah, well,
That's
in the
okay,
web press
that's okay.
business, they call that stitching.
Yeah.
So if you have it stapled, it's called stitching. So they would run it through a machine called a stitch and trimmer. You would take the pages, they would line them up, they would stitch the middle of it, and then they would fold and trim. It was pretty cool. But yeah, if that was, then they went to a glue. I didn't work with the glue stuff, so. Anyway, did you guys lose your keys or something?
No, I put my hand down because I
You're
fucked
both
my
like
circle
you're
up.
both like digging down on the ground, and he's over there digging into the couch. I'm like, shit, somebody lose the keys.
No, I
Trying to
had to
fluff the
stand
pillow.
up. I had to stand up to record the intro, so I was in the mirror. And when I had to stand up, it had to fix my stationary boundary. So now my stationary boundary is all fucked up.
Gonna fluff my pillow.
So yeah, fluff that
This
pillow
guy's
up.
name is that
so-
anime butt though.
Cool. So Helm's
On
bringing it
the
up.
Discord.
Behind us, we have the Demio. Behind us here, we have the Demio general chat from the Discord for the game Demio. Again, thank you to Resolution and Demio for this amazing space and the permission to film our podcast here. So, we already talked about how there was a big video game crash in '83. We talked about the different consoles that were around the time. The earliest consoles being the Pong machines after the table tennis for two. And then we had ColecoVision and Intellivision, ColecoVision and Intellivision, and the Atari
Big ones.
came from that. Yeah,
They're
those were the
big
big
ones.
ones. And then the Atari consoles came out. But in the 80s, there was a flood. The market was getting oversaturated with these cheap nothing games.
Yep.
And when you get a market,
Bad.
it was bad. When you get a market that's too saturated, you end up get those pets. That's my kitty cat, everybody. You can't see him, but he's here getting head pets. When you oversaturate a market with a product, the market inevitably becomes unstable and cannot sustain itself. It cannot flourish. It cannot, let alone flourish. It cannot even trudge on in the exact way it's been going. Anybody, anything to contribute to this here?
What's
Thoughts, questions?
Yes. No. Absolutely no. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. When you oversaturate like that, it ends up being a nasty situation.
Yeah,
you gotta look at it. You gotta figure they were still doing stocks and everything back then.
Yep.
What the hell was going on with the oversaturation? And then you had all those small companies even doing the fucking those little handheld ones.
Oh, the Tiger. I actually have sourced for the Tiger Electronics, but that was a later day oversaturation.
Yeah.
You're talking about the ones that actually look like mini arcade machines?
Yeah, well, they're not really arcade. Yeah.
No. We're talking about the ones that were literally little square, like little rectangles.
Mr.
In the
Game
hand.
Watches?
They had like kinda, but
Yeah, okay.
but bigger. They were different. They had all kinds of ones. They usually took 2 to 4 AA batteries, depending on how fancy they were. But they usually only had maybe 2 buttons, aside from a start and a reset button. They'd have a button on each side of the screen. It was just it was a little box. It was a screen and a button on each side of the screen. It doot doot boop 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 beep boop boop. But they were so cheap and easy to make that they also oversaturated the market. There were so many games, and some of them were good, some of them were really good, some of them were bad, and you could always see the images on the screens. Like if you said it just right, you could see every still that got lit up for those games. It was wild. It was like when the internet first became a thing, like widely a thing. It was a lawless place. Like people are like so sensitive now. Like, oh my god, y'all sensitive people now would have died.
I have no idea.
In the early days of the internet. Oh my god, you think memes are bad? Just before they were memes, they were just, oh my god, what is this horrible picture that I'm laughing at? Whew, I might be a bad person.
that took 3 hours to load.
Y'all.
Yeah, right.
unless you were at a place where you had a T3 connection. Oh man, remember
which
the
was usually work, which usually meant you were fired by the end of the day if you were looking at those kind of pictures.
See, but here's the thing: you gotta be smart.
Absolutely,
you gotta be smart. You gotta go to that. What was that? Mega. You gotta go to
that thing that
Megaproxy.
blocked? Yeah,
you gotta go to megaproxy.com and type in your
That's it.
worth 1,000 in the proxy. Yeah, I do. I absolutely remember being
the early days of
internet. A 9th grader going into the school library for where's my other hand? I need my other hand for this, for a research paper, and sitting myself in the corner and going to Megaproxy and typing in porn websites. And just being like, haha, I'm looking at porn at school. I'm not doing anything about it, but I'm looking at porn at school. I'm such a rebel.
Jeez, rebel.
No, you know who's a real rebel? You know who the real rebel is? Donuts. Yeah, Donut almost got expelled for rickrolling the entire school.
Oh, did he?
Really?
Yeah, he managed to set up so that every single computer in his school played on a loop the Never Gonna Give You Up video.
The Rickroll, yeah, nice.
And they could not stop it.
You're gonna go out big.
Never, they could not shut it down. They had to.
You know what's crazy? Just to bring it back, I was sitting there thinking, and it's crazy how the crash took 10 to 11 years. So it started, the whole video game console thing started in 72.
Yeah, but the
Something like
crash,
that.
it didn't start crashing for 10 years. Like it was a
10
multi-billion.
years.
Hang on, I actually have the statistics on this. The video game
Yeah, in '83 it was
market,
3.2 billion.
$3.2 billion industry.
Yeah.
And if you were to, mark that for inflation for today's, that's like a $100 billion company almost.
Has to be
Yeah,
something.
At
that's
least.
Bezos. That's Bezos money.
Yeah, that's fucking. I'm Jeff Bezos and I own everything money. There was a lot. There was actually during the time of the crash. Actually, Atari was running a contest, big contest. They had this series of game called. There was this Sword Quest series of games for the Atari 2600. And it was four games: Earth World, Fire World, Water World, and the never ever ever made Air World. And the competitions were the games came with a comic book and a poster and a manual, obviously, because games used to have this wild thing called instruction manual. And if you joined through the Nintendo Power, if you became a member of the Nintendo Power Club, you would get a T-shirt for Sword Quest, or not Nintendo, some magazine. I think it might have been Nintendo Power. It was some kind of gaming magazine. If you became a member, an Insiders Club member, you got a T-shirt, and they would send you a copy of the game that would arrive the day the game released. And you would play these games, and if you played the games right, if you played the games right and left the right items in the right secret rooms in the right sections, you would get a clue, resulting in a set of numbers. It was a page number and a panel number that coincided with the comic book that came with the game. And hidden in that panel on that page would be a word, and you'd have to solve these word puzzles and send the answer away. And what they would then do is they would, X amount of people would send in the right answers. They would bring all these people together for a championship run. You'd have 90 minutes to complete the game. Fastest time wins.
Wow.
And the winner received for Waterworld. I'm sorry, we start with Earthworld. Earthworld's reward was a talisman made of 18 karat gold, studded with 12 diamonds and the 12 birthstones of the Zodiac.
Cool.
Wow.
And the winner of that prize was a man. Where is his name? I wrote it down. Stephen Bell. He was 20 years old, and he was the winner of that one. And then Fire World came out, and it was a similar thing. Each game was based on different things. Like the one was based on the Zodiac, so it went around in a circle. The second one was based on the Tree of Life. The third one was based on the chakra pyramid or whatever the system for chakras is. And the Fire World prize was a chalice made of platinum and gold, and it was studded with diamonds, rubies, sapphires, pearls, and green jade. And the winner of that was a gentleman by the name of Michael Rideout. You gonna be okay? Do you need to get that?
Yeah, I had to find my phone first. I'm gonna try to mute myself here. Hang on. Go ahead.
All right. So, and then the prize for Waterworld was supposed to be a crown made of gold, decorated with diamonds, rubies, sapphires, and aquamarine. Nobody won that prize. The crash happened at the end of that.
Okay.
And the Air World champion would have received a Philosopher's Stone, which is a large piece of white jade encased in 18-karat gold box adorned with emerald, rubies, and diamonds. Each one of these prizes was valued at $25,000 a piece.
Holy Lord!
Yeah, and then on top of that, what was supposed to happen was all four champions were supposed to come together. Look at him with his fucking shit off. This is fucking ridiculous. So then on top of that, they were going to bring back the four champions to compete to win a jewel-encrusted sword with an 18-karat gold hilt, a silver blade covered with diamonds,
remember hearing
emeralds,
about
rubies,
this.
sapphires, and the sword was valued at $50,000.
I remember hearing about this.
Yeah, it's wild, right?
That's crazy. Having all those gems on a sword, could you imagine?
It was on the hilt. It wasn't like on the blade or anything. It was just on the hilt.
Yeah, but even still, it's got to be a pretty gorgeous blade.
Oh my god, it's all fucking gorgeous.
Huh?
Oh, look at that! I got a picture of it right here.
All of these items were very real. Like there's no way that any of these things were faked because two of the prizes were actually handed out. And the other ones
in the crash.
And
Bam!
and in addition to that, when each of those winners got the first two prizes were handed out, all the prizes were on display at these events. You could see all four of the winner prizes and then the grand champions prize. They never made the fourth one because the crash happened. So when the crash happened, they also never gave out the third game's winner prize because they never had the championship for that because the crash happened. So when the crash happened, a man by the name of Waterworld, honestly, Waterworld actually felt the effects of the crash before the competition ended because everything was already going to hell, and there was a limited release of Sword Quest Waterworld.
Yeah,
they only released so many copies of it, but then a man.
I don't even remember Sword Quest. Was it Atari that did that?
It was Atari. It was on the Atari 2600. It was 4 games. Did you miss the parts about the prize? I can go over them real quick.
No, I heard about it. You were talking about the chalice when. Yeah, that'll happen.
After the chalice, it was a crown made of gold, decorated with diamonds, rubies, sapphires, and aquamarine, and then the winner of the fourth game. No, well, before the sword, the winner of the fourth game would win a Philosopher's Stone, which was a large piece of white jade encased in an 18-karat gold box adorned with emerald, rubies, and diamonds. And then they were going to bring back the 4 champions to compete for the sword. But the crash happened and wiped it all out. But then a man named Jack Trammell bought Atari at the end, and comments from the industry, comments posted online from people in the industry claim to have seen the sword hanging in his living room.
Well, what else are you going to do with it?
It's
got to be an asset, right?
Hang on.
It's got to be considered an asset if you're buying something.
Hang on. There are no pictures to corroborate this. There's nothing but anybody saying that they saw it. But it's safe to assume that he has the sword and the crown and the Philosopher's Stone. Which means
none of those got done.
He's sitting on in the 80s they were valued at 25,000 each, and then the sword was 50,000. So if he's got the sword, the crown, the fucking Philosopher's Stone, that was 100K right out the gate before appreciation.
Inflation, yeah.
And then
so he's probably he could probably just the history alone. Yeah, the history alone, you could auction that stuff
He's got millions.
But at the same time, if he were to auction those off, everybody would know that he has had them this whole time, and people would be angry. People would be angry because literally anybody. The way this contest worked was that you didn't have to do anything special. You just had to play the game. So literally anybody during that, you, me, him, me, any one of us could have bought that game at release, popped it in our Atari, and won a $25,000 item.
Yeah, some 65-year-old man might come out and be like, "Yo, what's up?"
Yeah, well, anything that involves puzzles, you're going to have the cipher fanatics and everything else. But that was kind of like the first, esport.
Oh well, the comics also on the inside cover of the comic, there was a set of there was always something typed up there, and there was a hint as to how to solve the word puzzle because you'd solve X amount of rooms. There was like 10, 12, 15 rooms, and you'd have to find only like 4 or 5 words would be right, and you'd get a whole bunch of words, and the way to figure out which ones were correct, like the first one of them was only prime numbers because the words prime and number in the opening blurb were different colors than everything else that was written. So, search the tower for the amulet. Boom. Amulet puzzle solved. You could be one of the winners who got the amulet. So.
Right on.
So the crash happened, and it sucked because all that anybody could play was pretty much what they had. There was no new games coming out for a while. It wouldn't be...
Because...
Go ahead.
I was say because the main reason why there was nothing new coming out is because the oversaturation of the market meant that too many of the retailers were actually trying to return surplus games, and the manufacturers didn't even have money to pay for the refunds. Therefore, they didn't have the money to go into creation of new games. So here they have just all these games sitting in, like nowadays, I guess it would be like, what, $5 bins? They would have brand new $60, $70 games from like 2021, $60 games coming out in like that first week. They would be in the $5 bins almost immediately.
That's my hand. Did anybody else see my hand over there in front of Helm?
Yeah, I do. There it is. Came back to you.
Keep it.
But it's been right here.
How many times do I got to tell you? Keep your hands to yourself.
Give me them nips. Give me them nips, boy. So, well, that's how we wound up with game. Even before the Bit Wars started, when it was just Nintendo, and that Nintendo were geniuses. They knew when the first Nintendo came out, the Nintendo, what's it called? The Nintendo
Famicom.
Entertainment System. No, only in Japan is it called the Famicom.
It was
the Famicom was
but it
was the Eastern.
Was the first one.
Yeah,
only in Japan was it the Famicom, and actually Nintendo had one before that called the Nintendo. I think it was Nintendo Super 16 or something. It had 16 built-in games, and it was bright-ass orange. You look this up. This is a real thing. The name I have for it might be off, but it's a real thing. The Famicom, red and gray, and the second-player controller had a microphone built into it, and I'll go into that in a minute. But in America, they called it the Nintendo Entertainment System. Entertainment System. It wasn't a video game console, because in the 80s they were still marketing toys in the blue aisle or the pink aisle for boys or girls. It was all this stupid bullshit gender nonsense. Nintendo said, fuck that. We want everybody to buy this. So they put it in the electronics department and labeled it as an entertainment system. And literally
isn't that where Pong started with?
Pong?
Pong was in the electronics section. That didn't have a for boys, for girls.
But it was a video game console. And by this time, video games would have been labeled a boys thing. Boys thing?
Yeah.
Boys thing. I like this one for air quotes, the little one. Little one for air quotes.
It's probably just because of the inherent, I guess, quote unquote, violence in the video games.
The violence
it's got to be a boy thing.
Come and see the violence in the system.
Back then, I guess if they marketed, God, this is going to sound horrible, but remember back then, if they would have done like kitchen homemaker video games, it would have been for the girls, right? Back then. I'm not saying that now. Jesus Christ.
And the marketing department would have been like, yeah, this will never sell.
You never sell.
You're not going to make any money with this product. You know what? Let me play the sad song for you, because that's what you're going to be doing when you have no money from this game. And again, this is not like our opinions on this. This is factual from the time that this all took place.
Instead of making girl video games, they decided to upgrade the light bulb in their Easy Bake Oven. So.
Yeah, and I mean, they did eventually start marketing games towards girls. I hated that. Marketing games towards girls with, like, the Barbie games that were terrible. Oh my God, they were the worst. But the Nintendo also had its own oversaturation problems. We got these terrible console cartridges that were just chock full of bad games, and they'd be like, oh yeah, you're gonna get this many games. Look at the value on this. This is a 52 game cartridge. It costs $108. But it's got 52 games on it. And a lot of those games were just knockoffs of Pong or bad space shooters. Like, if you want to play a good space shooter on the NES, there's all kinds of stuff, like Life Force. Life Force is an amazing space shooter for the NES.
R-Type?
It was good.
R-Type.
R-Type?
Excellent pull. It had a lot of great, like, sports games. You want to talk sports games? Blades of Steel, great hockey game on the NES.
Tecmo Bowl, baby.
That was a
Tecmo Bowl.
Blades of Steel was a
oh my
great
God, Tecmo. Dude, I fucking love Blade. I wish I had Blades of Steel on my NES. Actually, I might. I did hack it. I probably
Blades
do.
of
I
Steel.
hacked it.
That's the one where
Blades of
the
Steel.
3 characters you had was like one of them was like a just like a big round fat guy and who was like really slow. But then like the one of the other players, the guys that you could play as was like a little skinny guy, and like those are the 3 different types of players. And
No, all the characters were pretty much the same size, and you would just pick a team to
Okay.
go against another team.
Let's also point out that when the NES came out, it was $180.
Yeah, it was 1985 because
yeah,
that's
when
when the first Mario
it came
game
out. Well, and I was reading when we were talking about this topic. I decided to go in and read a little bit more. That the crash only lasted for like 18 months, 24 months, and then when and Nintendo came in and pretty much rescued the industry because they came in already knowing what not to do.
Yeah.
So they oversaturated with shitty cartridges, but when it came to the games and the game system itself, they
had enough real games to make up for the
they released just enough. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and the
remember-
lifespan, but also Nintendo didn't spread itself too thin by making additional consoles right away. They waited years. When did the SNES come out? 1992. 7 years.
Almost took 10 years. Yeah.
7 years between consoles.
7 years,
and they had
7 years.
all
Yep.
this time to work on their shit. And they did. The only people who never really got their shit together was LJN. However, LJN did make an amazing Spider-Man game called Maximum Carnage on the SNES, and it literally has an Ozzy Osbourne song in it. Or a Metallica song. No,
Nice.
Slayer? Megadeth? It's something.
Slayer.
I'll have to look up the video. There's an actual look it up. There's an actual like somebody's 16-bit an actual metal
right
song into a fight. Look,
That's crazy.
The AVGN Maximum Carnage episode literally talks about exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't know about the Angry Video Game Nerd, check them out. He's great. Cinemassacre, a fantastic.
Yeah, I like
fantastic
him. My
content
Matthew watches him. Yeah, and he likes Rad
He's from
Brad
New Jersey.
Yeah, dude. One of our episodes we should talk about video game streamers and YouTubers that have kind of reinvented the whole streaming industry and created it, like Rad Brad, like Stone Mountain 64, like this guy
But this is also a topic to
Orphanarium,
do. This is also a top. This is something. This is a conversation we should have outside the podcast, though. So,
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, you were looking for something. Are you looking that up right now, Rudy? Is that why your stone still is a statue? Okay.
Doing in podcast research, being that guy.
Be that guy. That's a great guy to be. So yeah, on top of that, the NES came out. It saved the video game industry. It saved the entire fucking market. The Famicom was a huge success in Japan. It had its Nintendo Entertainment System released worldwide, and it was a massive success. It was affordable. It had great games at launch. It had great characters. Mario came back from Atari. He stopped being Jumpman. He stopped being an animal abuser and became a different kind of animal abuser. He no longer fights gorillas. Now he stomps on turtles.
And mushrooms.
He eats the mushrooms. So because of the fact that Nintendo's based in Japan, and they send different consoles to different areas, we wind up with very different games. Like we had Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3 on the NES. And did you know that the Super Mario Brothers 2 that we got here in the US is not the same as the Super Mario Brothers 2 that they received in Japan?
No, I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, really. Have either of you ever played Super Mario All-Stars on the SNES?
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely.
Okay, so on Super Mario All-Stars for the SNES, you've got what? You've got Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario Brothers The Lost Levels.
I do remember them. Yeah.
So, Super Mario Brothers The Lost Levels is actually what Super Mario 2 was in Japan. The levels are completely well, they're similar to the ones from the original Super Mario, but they added I have it tattooed on my wrist. They added the reverse. It's not the reverse that I have. There's the reverse mushroom, and they also added the poison mushroom, which I have the poison mushroom on one wrist and the one-up mushroom on the other wrist. The reverse mushroom would knock you down a power-up.
Deathlock does a fucking song on there.
On what?
On Maximum Carnage.
Deathclock?
Deathlock?
Deathlock.
I don't know who Deathlock is.
Metalocalypse? Deathlock?
That's Deathclock.
Yeah, this is Deathlock.
Okay, so Super Mario Brothers: The Lost Levels, they added the reverse mushroom and the poison mushroom. The reverse mushroom knocks you down power. So if you had Fire Flower, you're a regular big guy. If you were a big guy, now you're small. The poison mushroom straight up kills you.
Okay.
Super Mario Brothers 2 is actually the one that we received in America is actually a clone of another game. There is another game that came out before Super Mario Brothers 2 in the West that is the exact same mechanics. Everything
Super
about
Mario
it is
Brothers 2 was just a weird.
It was
just a weird. It's like they completely went away from like the Super Mario format and went to something completely different. And then when Super Mario Brothers 3, they went back.
I wouldn't say completely different. They tweaked a few things because they tweaked some things in Super Mario Brothers 3. Like an example of going from one formula to a completely different would be Legend of Zelda. We had Legend of Zelda, and then we had Legend of Zelda 2: Link's Awakening, which was a completely different format.
Jeez, Pete, that was
It was
trash.
horrible. It was horrible. It was the worst. It was the worst one of them.
No, you're definitely wrong. You know why I know you're wrong? Because I know about the unholy Triforce of Zelda games. Here's why you're both wrong about The Legend of Zelda 2: Link's Adventure being a bad game.
You were talking about that.
It's not a bad game. It's just wildly different. Once you figure out how the game is supposed to be played, how the mechanics work, it's actually a very interesting story. It's very drawn out and very big. But it's actually a really good game.
Why don't you go ahead and tell us about that unholy Triforce.
The unholy. Okay, so in the middle of the Bit Wars, after the SNES came out, because that's when the Bit Wars really started. We had actually Nintendo Entertainment System led into it because we had the SNES come out, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, and the Sega Master System.
Mm-hmm.
Or as we got it largely in the West after it got tweaked, the Sega Genesis.
Yeah. The Marvel versus the DC type of game systems,
essentially, yeah.
They started cloning each other games, add-ons, and the only thing that the Master System didn't have that the NES did have, and they're probably lucky that they didn't, was that stupid robot.
The robot was actually on the NES. Rob was an accessory for the original.
The Sega didn't have it.
Yeah, but Sega wasn't competing with the original Nintendo. Sega was competing with the Super Nintendo, and Rob was an accessory for the original Nintendo.
No, the Master System was 8-bit. The Master System and the NES were the same. Then there's a Genesis and the Super Nintendo.
The Master System
the Genesis and
I had an emulator for the Sega Master System, and the graphics were exactly the same, and it played all of my Sega Genesis games, and all the graphics were identical across the board.
Yeah.
Well,
same.
So Sega Master System was actually the Japanese release of the Sega Genesis. They did a limited release here in the West where it was called the Master System still. Even the cartridge said for the Sega Master System, but it eventually transitioned into the Sega Genesis.
So I'm just remembering that the Master System was 8-bit versus the 16-bit Genesis. I'll double check. I might have had something different.
Yeah, you could double check it, but I can almost guarantee that they're exactly the same system. So the Genesis and the SNES came out. They were both 16-bit, but the Genesis had blast processing, which made everything, you could make things look hyper fast. That's why Sonic the Hedgehog was so wildly popular. They had the trails and the super speed, and everything was wild and crazy, kids.
Super fast side scrolls.
So then Nintendo started tweaking some things. They didn't do much, but Sega wanted to outdo Nintendo because Nintendo was still outselling the Sega. So they had all these add-ons. They had an add-on to make it the 32X, and you plug it into your cartridge slot, and then you plug your 32X cartridge into that. Now you've got a 32-bit system with blast processing. And Nintendo said, "No, we're good. Our Super Nintendo's doing just fine. We're outselling you still." Atari came back into the ring shortly thereafter with the Atari Jaguar, which was the first 64-bit system, and they managed to make it a 64-bit system by coupling together two 32-bit processors, and the thing barely worked and only had a small handful of games. And boy, was it aggressive when it started up. You get the spinning Jaguar screen and the just literal attack line. And then in the middle of all that, you had Panasonic. Panasonic thought they were going to win the game by being the first CD-based video game console system. And man, they had some great games on there, like the paintings of Robert Mapplethorpe. Literally, it's just you just click and go through the paintings of Robert Mapplethorpe. It's just paintings with some sad music. There was a Hotel Mario was on the 3DO. Man, was that bad. It's the only non-licensed Mario game.
All right, so what I've been finding is this: the Master System is the
your hands are wild.
The original Japanese launch. The Master System 2 is what hit North America, and they were both 8-bit. And then the Sega Genesis is the 16-bit successor to the Master System.
Okay, all right, cool, good stuff. See,
so the Sega Master System 2. Yeah, Master System 2 is what. That's what I must have had, because that's what I know it's called the Master System. It's just, but yeah, the original launch. It said here is in Japan for the Master System. So the Master System 2 was North America, and its successor was the 16-bit Genesis. Yeah.
So I'll tell you right now that the Master System, the Genesis, the Super Nintendo all had some super sleeper Dragon Ball Z fighting games on them. Fantastic. But anyway, we'll come back to different types of genre changes that came with the consoles.
I never played the Dragon Ball. Never got into it.
Dragon Ball GT was great.
It was a show.
It was a game.
Not on the Super Nintendo. You might be thinking of Hyper Dimension, which had some GT characters.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the Panasonic 3DO. Panasonic 3DO had the only unlicensed Mario and Zelda titles. Hotel Mario, which was a fucking ridiculous game. You just going indoors and you just go around these levels and close doors and avoid caterpillars. Yeah, it's dumb. But the three Zelda games on the 3DO, referred to as the Unholy Triforce. You ready for this, Rudy? Zelda's Adventure, Legend of Zelda Wand of Gamelon, Legend of Zelda Faces of Evil, and Legend of Zelda I think it's Zelda's Adventure. Honestly, it's bad. They're all bad.
So you played as Zelda in that one?
In one of them, you actually play as Zelda, and you're off to rescue Link. And it's that one's the most ridiculous. It's a top-down, realistic world backdrops with ridiculous cartoony bullshit plastered over the top of it. Like, you'll be walking, and the scaling's so bad because it looks like you're looking at an aerial, like a satellite view of a place on Earth. Mountains and trees.
I'll have to look. I'm gonna have to check YouTube. Somebody's got to have that on YouTube by now somewhere.
Yes, the Angry Video Game Nerd actually covers everything I just talked about on the 3DO. I will promote that guy's channel any day for free because that guy's got amazing content. He's very informative as well as being entertaining.
And we've only been watching him for almost 15 years.
Yeah, he's literally like 3 months older than me, and he's from New Jersey, just like you and me, buddy. Yeah, he's from Middle Jersey. From Central Jersey.
He is a Rolling Rock drinking, angry video game man.
Yes, he's great.
Nerd. Yeah.
The whole Cinemassacre crew is great.
Yeah.
Channel Awesome. I like them too.
Oh, there it is. There's my drink. So yeah, the Super Nintendo introduced us to the fighting game genre pretty much too. Before that, you really only saw fighters. You barely saw fighters in arcade games. But did you know that they also put some really cool first-person shooters on the Super Nintendo and the Sega? You could play great classics like Wolfenstein 3D, as well as Doom.
Yeah, Wolfenstein. Doom was on there.
Doom was on there. Doom was OG, man.
They could not get the music
That was
on both consoles, though, for some reason. The Doom for the Super Nintendo had some terrible... or maybe it was the Xbox, or not the Xbox, the Sega. One of them had bad music, and the other one just had... Where's my hands? I need my hands. I got a gesture. I need gestures. Zero music. None. No music at all. And then on top of that, the Super Nintendo version of Wolfenstein changed all of the Nazi imagery. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'll bet it they did. I'll bet they
changed
did.
all of the swastikas to iron crosses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the time, yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
the Sega
They were-
version of Wolfenstein had all the swastikas in it because it was historically accurate time period wise, not necessarily what kinds of adventures happened period of historical accuracy. Similar thing
Fictional
happened with
story
Mortal
set
Kombat.
in a real. Yeah.
Mortal
The
Kombat on the
fictional
Super
story
Nintendo
set
would
within
turn
a
the blood
historical time.
the historical time
Was it?
period. Yeah. It was a fictional story in a historical time period, and then yes, the Super Nintendo version of Mortal Kombat had no blood. I think you had to.
Probably
I
one
think
of
you
some of
had
the originals. I'm pretty sure.
had to go and turn it on. By default, it was on.
Yeah, there was a. Or was that one of the ones where they actually had to put in like a code to get it on? or
Oh
something
yeah,
like
you
that?
know what? Actually, the Sega, it was by default it was off on Sega, and the Super Nintendo you actually had to put in a cheat code to turn the blood on because it was like we're the family friendly console. That's why our mascot doesn't do math.
Up, down, back, B, A.
Up, down, left, right. The Konami code, baby. Up, down, left, right, B, A, start.
What he said, 1,000% what he said. So the bit
Once
wars
you memorize
lasted
that, you.
well into the fucking late 90s. Yeah,
Yeah.
because even
Yeah, no, 'cause
honestly,
I
as
think-
nice as
The
some of the
Dreamcast was-
PS2 graphics were, they were still largely 64-bit graphics, just like the N64.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the last Sega was the Dreamcast, and then they went to producing just the games themselves instead of consoles, and then that's when Sony came in and took over, and they started going head to head with Nintendo, and then Microsoft jumps in. So now Nintendo's got their own. They went niche. They stopped doing the main console wars, and they went niche console with the Wii, the Switch, the Wii U. Whereas PlayStation and Xbox decided to go head-to-head for power, console for console.
Well, I mean, honestly, not for nothing.
So I remember,
Nintendo might be quote-unquote niche,
Child
but
friendly. Yeah.
they're still outselling the Xbox and the PlayStation.
well, absolutely, yeah, no, I mean, because I'm gonna tell you right now, it has everything to do with the Mario franchise, everything to do with the Mario, and then the Smash Brothers came out, and then it was,
I would disagree.
You could
I
attribute that mostly to
disagree.
the one guy.
I would
I don't
disagree.
think it's primarily Mario.
That's Mario. Yeah, I would say that's the simple fact that their consoles are versatile. Their innovations are actual innovations, and they do it well. Like the Wii came out and introduced a motion control system, and what happened?
Yeah.
PlayStation said we could do that too, and they gave you a glowing ball dildo to swing around. In blue or pink.
Wasn't that their VR? Wasn't that PlayStation VR that had those, or was that literally their answer to
That
the
was
Wii?
that was the PS Move, which was the
Yeah.
PlayStation
Oh,
response
gosh.
to the Wii motion controllers. Xbox said, "Fuck both of you and your hand gestures with stuff. We're gonna give them a motion
give
tracking
it
camera."
bars. Yep.
Boom. And it
The
actually
Kinect.
works pretty well. The Kinect was pretty good, but it sold so poorly that they discontinued
They
it
stopped it.
super fast. And so much to the point that they actually removed the Kinect port from the second generation of Xbox Ones. If you didn't have a fat boy Xbox, you didn't have a Kinect port, which means you had to become an electrical engineer and buy this fucking adapter.
Was the Kinect with
What
the
a
original
freaking
Xbox, or did that come
nightmare.
up with the 360?
360.
I thought that the Kinect was a
The Kinect
360.
was on the 360 and the Xbox One.
Yeah.
Xbox.
You had-
Oh, the X-Bone. Gotcha. Not the Xbox X-Bone. Gotcha.
Not the OG Xbox. The OG Xbox.
gotcha.
Fun
You had
fact. Fun fact.
You had a Kinect.
I did have a. I actually still do somewhere.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't. Yeah, when we bought our first 360, it came with it. Actually, it was packaged together.
When Sony and the N64 were out, and those were the two big boy consoles, the PS2 came out, and then the GameCube came out to compete with the PS2. That's what it was. The GameCube came out to compete with the PS2, and they stopped dealing with these bit wars. The bit wars were over as soon as the PS2 and the GameCube dropped, because it was no longer about bits. All the hardware was basically the same. It just became it basically became a war of loyalty. What do you like more?
Yep.
And it's
Video game.
bullcrap.
Yep.
The console wars are bullshit. The big three at the start of the console wars was the PS2, the GameCube, and the OG Xbox. And you know what Game Informer did? Game Informer took all three consoles, put a disc in each one of them, and threw them off of a third-story window into the street. And you know what happened? They learned which consoles were the most durable. The PS2 was fucking shattered.
Shattered. See that.
They had to sweep it up. The Xbox cracked the fucking half.
Yeah.
And the GameCube motherfucking bounced. They picked the GameCube up, they brought it back inside, they plugged it back in. The game that was inside it still ran. It had to be put back up, like it had to be connected to the spinner, but aside from that,
I will always boast that system. It was the coolest system. Came with a handle.
It had a
pick
handle.
it up, take it over to your friend's house.
pick it up, bash in the brains of somebody who's intruding into your space. It's versatile. It's a video
weapon.
game. It's a video game system, and it's a personal defense implement.
Yep.
Talk about a handheld console.
Right?
Yeah, but
I'm
I
sure.
never
What happened until I
wasn't a
moved
fan of the
into this
GameCube.
house?
You wasn't a fan
was
of the
not a fan
GameCube? Get out.
Mm-mm.
How are you
Nope.
not?
Doors
Damn.
over there. See the exit
Right
sign?
there.
Get the fuck out.
I never really got. I never really played the GameCube. I was in the 64, and then I went right to PlayStation.
Dude, the GameCube was
I think it's mostly
amazing.
because-
There were there's so many slept on games. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles.
Crystal Chronicles was so good.
It was a 4-player Final. Right, pay attention to me, Hum. I'm gonna educate you on the GameCube.
Everybody could
The
play.
GameCube is such a popular console that it's still hard to find in stores. In GameCube,
Well,
in
I had
pawn
one,
shops,
yeah,
in
my youngest son just
GameStop.
bought it.
Nice, $50
For Christmas. My youngest son just bought one for like $200. He's got a couple. He's got all
Holy
the
crap!
Mario games.
$200, and you go tell me that the console was good. Let me tell you, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles.
I said I
if
wasn't a fan. I didn't say it wasn't a good console. I just said I didn't really get into it.
Here's what you needed with the GameCube. The GameCube, you needed a Game Boy Advance as well, and you needed a link cable. And you needed three other friends who also had Game Boy Advances and a link cable. Or you could have extra link cables and be that cool guy. I was the cool guy with extra link cables. And you go to your friend's house and you play Crystal Chronicles. And instead of using the GameCube controller, you connected your Game Boy to it. And each of the 4 people got a different version of the map. One person had the treasure, one person had the monsters, one person had the something else, and one person had another thing. Then
That sounds
one
fun.
person also carries the chalice. That chalice is your protection of bubble. If you are outside the chalice, you are taking damage from the miasma in the region.
Okay.
And
It
the
was a great game.
whole game, you have to go to different places and collect a dewdrop from the tree, and you bring back 3 dewdrops and recharge your crystal. But you also, fun fact, I've only ever once been to the end of the game. You can't just be like, okay, I feel like I'm good. I've got cool weapons. I've got good armor. I've got this, that, the other. I'm going off to fight the big boss at the end. No, you need to play that game for many, many, many cycles of recharging your crystal. Because
I've done it.
Because you, at the end, in addition to like taking damage, the final boss drains your memories. Along your journey, you'll encounter different things and create memories. Literally, it will tell you memory created. And at the end of the game, the final boss draws these will hit you and knock these bubbles out of you, and you'll have a memory counter. And I went in there with 145 memories, and it did not take him long to drain all of them and just end my game.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's definitely an interesting mechanic.
And you honestly, there are parts of the game where you absolutely have to have 4 people playing it in order to get all the secrets and all the loot out of a level and all the weapon schematics and all the armor schematics. If you don't, and all the materials to make them, if you don't bring 4 people, you will miss out on some of the most amazing weapons and armor. I promise you of that.
Sounds similar to this game that we play now called Demio. You need 4 players or you're missing out.
Yeah. Which again, we will be going into. We will be doing a whole episode on Demio. We might even. I'm thinking about even possibly going into the Demio general chat and recruiting 1 or 2 adults.
I'm kind of reading them as they go through here, and they keep bringing up something called Lounge 1000. So
hey guys, there must be that anime
they're in
butt
a game.
though.
That's what I said earlier. I said, look, that anime butt though is his name.
Some of these guys are actually grouping up. That's the cool thing about this. This is a hangout. These are people. This is the actual general chat for the Demio Discord server.
Yep.
And you can see people in real time linking up to play a game. In 1000, these guys have been grouping up. There's 4 people that have been waiting to group up all night. They've been talking about it in here since before you got here. So when we do the Demio episode, I'll probably go to general chat and see if I can find 1 or 2 adults to come and join us for the conversation. So get cozy with having some friends with y'all on those beanbags on the couch. You got plenty of room on that couch for 2 more people. But yeah.
As he melts into it.
What we're talking about console wars. The Tiger Electronics. Oh my god, the Tiger Electronics. There were literally so many of them. And Tiger didn't just have the handheld electronics. Remember the video game watches?
I remember the Tiger watches.
I had a Nintendo watch.
The one that was literally shaped like a Game Boy and had a version of Super Mario World.
I had one. I think I had one that was also
Land. Super Mario Land. It's Super Mario Land. Land was the Game Boy versions, and we didn't even go.
I remember when I was a kid.
Jesus Christ!
I had a. I don't know if it was a watch or if it was a game, but you could take it off of the band and it actually transformed into a robot. It's like a transformer. God, what was that called?
That's cool. My first little tiny digital
I had some
creature.
random weird shit when I was a kid.
I had a Pokemon Pikachu, the OG one.
What do you mean?
The card?
No, it was a little digital. It was a little digital.
Oh, like a Tamagotchi?
Well, kind of, but all it was a Pikachu, and you didn't have to feed it or anything. You just had to play with it and just take it with you. It was basically a pedometer. It earned energy from walking,
like a Fitbit.
Like a fit, kind of like it. Like if you shook it, it would charge up, and you could just gamble with it. And there was supposed to be a way that you could link it up to get the points, for the slot machine or something in Pokemon Gold and Silver. I remember it was wild.
You know what kind of alarm clock I had when I was a child?
Sugar Hill Gang?
I had a OG Dragon Ball alarm clock that it would go off. It would go off and play the OG Dragon Ball theme.
Shala Head Shala? Or Dragon Rock the Dragon?
Chala.
I hate that. Oh my god, I hate that. We are going to we will dedicate an entire episode to Dragon Ball. We'll also dedicate an entire episode to anime, I promise. So, man.
I could do both of those.
Video games are so wild.
I can do the anime one. I'm not
Yep.
a Dragon Ball fan.
So
Never get into it.
easy.
We can learn. You can still be there for the conversation, man. We'll teach you. We'll teach you. a thing
Oh,
or two.
absolutely.
Look at him. He
I'll
died. You
film
killed
it.
him.
I'll be the camera on that one. Let you two talk about it.
Look at him. You killed him. So we've actually got some editing software to take care of this too. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I also have plenty of things to discuss about that topic. The DBZ.
oh my god, so many things.
I know
Well,
further.
there's-
I have
know
a million
further
topics
things
in
that
general
haven't
to
even
talk to.
happened.
I know a million topics in general for us to discuss. So
Yeah, and I think we've proven that even with a broad topic like that, it segues and it branches down, like the video game wars, and then the bit wars, and then the video game crash. I would actually split those down into smaller, episode-sized topics.
Yeah.
and then put it all together into one big package. I mean, we've hit all the way from the crash all the way through, well, VR. We were talking about. Of
Oh my
course,
God.
well, obviously Demio because we're in it, but I
Like,
mean,
I
we've already
honestly
hit, and we
didn't
haven't even been in
think-
an hour yet.
I didn't think that I was going to be like, man, VR really does change the way I want a game. And then I received one. I have a VR now, and it's like, man, I wish I could play all of my games on this VR headset. Like, I honestly don't understand why I can't just sit here and play my Xbox game and just play, have my head be the fucking
Speaking
so I
of-
can actually look around.
Speaking of Final Fantasy, how dope would it be to be in a Final Fantasy game in one of these things?
Yeah, no. See, here's the thing. Instead
You
of
know,
that,
I mean,
I
that
don't
would
want that.
be-
Do you know why I don't want that? I want dot hack. That's where I want to be. I don't want.
the actual dot hack game.
Yeah, I want to play the world. I want to put on my VR headset and I want to play the world, and I want to fall into a coma and get trapped in the video game forever. That's
Skyrim on VR.
So, or Elden Ring now. I mean,
dude. I've been watching so.
Elden
like,
Ring is beautiful. I couldn't imagine looking at Elden Ring. in
I've been
VR. That
watching
would
it
be
too, but I have
mind-blowing.
the Xbox One, and if you look up online to get Elden Ring, the Xbox One puts out the lowest resolution and fucks the graphics.
Well, of course, it wasn't written for the Xbox One.
No,
well, I mean, you have the Series
but
S.
even
You have
PS,
the Xbox One S.
here's
So it wouldn't be
Yeah.
that bad because the graphics between the Xbox One S and X to the Xbox Series SX is not so great. It's not impossible. Yes, the Xbox Series X is 8K
It's the
capable
SSD.
apparently. Yeah, that's the SSD.
Yeah.
That's the
You
real
just need-
difference.
You just need to get an upgraded SSD. Really, is all. But those are like $200 on their own. So
Well, no, let's he has an Xbox One S, and the only real difference between the Xbox Series S and X and the Xbox One S and X is a little bit of hardware, that solid state drive versus a regular hard disk drive, and minor graphical upgrades. They're not so great. I'm telling you, like I literally went in the same group of 10 minutes from the Xbox One S to the Xbox Series S, and my eyes cannot tell the difference.
no,
Well, I
I'm
also am not even.
gonna
Yeah,
lie.
but I'm also not even on a basic 4K TV, which the S and X are meant to run on.
Right, we are. Yeah, no. When we got the X, when it got first released, we were one of the lucky ones, and we plugged that in downstairs in our living room with the
With the 4K
the
TV,
brand new
and
4K TV that
and
we
the
had.
gold tipped.
I ended up having to. I ended up actually. It was weird because our internet was too slow. Our internet wasn't able to process the connection. So here we are trying to. We're
First
trying to
world
play
problems.
games.
My
and
internet's
watch on
not
the
fast
4K
enough for my
hardware.
graphics.
We're like, wait a
All
minute,
that
why is this?
hardware.
Why is this skipping? Why does it keep freezing? And then we're like, oh my god, our internet's not able to download fast enough to keep up with the hardware. We weren't able to get enough data to the Xbox to take it to the TV. There was no.
That's
I mean, we
fucking
couldn't even
wild.
keep a buffering. We couldn't even keep a buffering gap.
And
It was
how
just.
fast? How
it would
fast
just
is
suck
your
it
internet
off.
now?
I think we're at 200,
Oh, I'll be.
100.
I can go 4K easy. I pay for 400 Mbps.
Yeah. We're. I think we're only 200.
I went
but that's
from-
because
I
working
went
from
from
home, we got a stipend from my work for it.
I went from crap to gigabyte download speeds.
Nice.
Oh man. Oh, we get our internet for free, basically. So,
I mean, the internet's been a huge. Raise your hand if you had dial-up. Yeah,
I
both
was there
ends.
when it was created. Are you
Both
kidding me? If you had it, I was there
Listen,
when every week you got a
how-
brand new thing in the mail that said AOL on
Yup.
it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you only got
We didn't even-
and you only got like 72 hours of it.
But that's that's
But you
if
would
you
collect
didn't.
the shit out of those
But
DVDs
that's
and CDs.
that's because those
Yeah,
were
you would.
free hours. Those were free hours.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you had to
Yeah,
pay
free
for hour. You had to pay for a subscription. Oh my god.
That's
Well,
like
it was
call me
72
after-
free
That's like
hours.
call me after 9.
Yeah, it was 72 free
my
hours,
God.
but it was usually 70 hours of downloading shit and two hours of actually using it because the
Yeah,
dial-up
but
was so
AOL was
fucking
super
slow.
limited anyway. Like you couldn't do much on AOL. You had to use AOL to acquire an actual internet browser. Like I remember when I still had that. I remember this. I used to play back on dial-up. I was back in the old AOL chat room role playing. That's how long I've been role playing. I mean, I've been also
Yeah.
playing D&D, but that was where I was really role playing. Was there? But then also I found this
Yeah.
text-based game with some It had some buttons, but it was mostly text-based. There were no graphics. Called Vagabond's Quest.
Okay. Something
And-
an old Zork, like an old Zork clone.
Yeah, it was really good, dude. It was so in depth. Like there were so many things you could do. Like it was wild. And then they released Vagabond's Quest 2, which had a downloaded client. You had to put this client on your computer, and it was live in real time. There were other players. You'd go into a room, you'd be in a chat with other players. Your character would be there. You would type in what you want. You like /fight, and they would /fight monster, and it would find a monster for you to fight. You could PvP with people. You could buy new weapons for your character from the shop. You'd earn your gold and buy your weapons and equip your shit. It was dope. I remember I would still with dial-up. I would get on AOL, minimize AOL, open up Vagabond's Quest, open up AIM instead of AOL.
Aim.
And then,
Yeah,
and then
AOL,
just,
instant
and then
messenger,
just,
baby.
and then just fat guy from South Park episode World of Warcraft just lean off
Yep.
to the side, just
Click,
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 clack,
click,
clickety clack, typing away, just chit chatting with people and playing these chat games. Like internet gaming used to be so different before World of Warcraft.
More Mountain Dew.
Mom, the meatloaf.
Ma'am, pizza
Fuck.
rolls. Ma'am, bathroom. Mom, bathroom, quick, hurry. Mom, bathroom.
the butt. Change the bucket.
They eventually all wound up in Cartman's basement.
You know, I promise not. This is the last time I'll say.
Do you know who has
that
the rights to that
episode-
now?
What?
Oh,
Microsoft.
Paramount.
Paramount.
What?
Paramount has South Park. Yeah, and
Oh,
they have
South
South
Park?
Park, 7
South Park.
movies or something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
dope.
no, it's crazy.
Stop, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, so
no,
that means-
but that episode gave me inspiration for a specific creature in one of my old D&D campaigns, and it was a goblin who was literally a big, fat, putrid pus ball of a goblin sitting. His legs were like, emaciated, never worked, but because he was totally stuck in this chair, and all he did all day was look through this like a megascope at to see, to watch this path that the rest of the goblins would try to unwary travelers. They would would rush them, yeah, something like that. But he would sit there,
Right.
And he would just sit there, and then when the player
Big-ass
characters
head.
actually finally got up into this cave where the megascope was, and they watched this little fat putrid goblin with his eye like literally almost attached to this damn thing. Another goblin would come out dragging a bucket, and he would pull a bucket full of piss and shit, and then they watched it as he replaced the bucket and left. And then one of the asshole players was like, "We're gonna shoot the guy carrying the bucket." So he's trying to pull the bucket. This poor goblin's already got the worst job in the world, but he takes the first arrow.
You think you've got a shit job?
No, yeah, the goblin as he laid there bleeding out with an arrow in his head said, "Thank you, thank you for saving me."
You have released me from my Kobe.
Yeah, but that episode watching Cartman shit on his mom in the bucket, that was like, oh, I'm gonna do that. But it's gonna be a goblin. He's gonna totally piss and shit on another goblin.
Yeah, but
then-
they're still releasing new episodes, and Paramount ground them.
Yep. Yep, Paramount's got
fun
it.
facts.
They've got him on the hook.
Fun
That's
fact
crazy.
about South Park: Matt Stone and Trey Parker started doing South Park to
In college?
fund their band DVDA, which
Yeah,
stands for
I
double
remember-
vaginal,
yeah.
double anal.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
So when you get two dicks in
Yeah,
both
no,
holes at
they,
the same
um,
time.
Like the first
Yeah, no-
episode they did was like on cardboard or not cardboard, construction paper. They
Oh my
actually
god,
cut
the
the pieces out.
whole first like 2 seasons were like that. That's why the intro was literally
That's
like
crazy.
them cutting themselves out. Like it was literally the characters getting cut out and put on the felt board.
Yep. That's
Come on
crazy.
down South Park, gonna have myself a time. Pretty
Primus,
faces
let's take
everywhere,
pool.
people building up plantation.
Oh Lord, but yeah, no, you can still. I mean, I can still catch them on Hulu. They still have the new episodes popping up. But yeah, they're Paramount Plus now. But and then we only got
Gross.
Paramount Plus because of Halo's coming out.
Yeah.
The Halo
Have you
TV
seen-
show is
No,
supposed to be
dude.
coming out.
No, dude. Have you even seen the trailer for it?
If they show
No.
his face, I'm
And here's
mad.
what. Ready?
I've heard leaks
Ready?
that they're gonna do it.
I heard that they're gonna do
Here's-
it. They're gonna show his
here's-
face.
No,
Here's the
That's not
unpopular. Here's the unpopular opinion. I don't like Halo.
I know you're not a big Halo fan.
Not a
but
Halo
I mean,
guy. Not a Halo guy.
I read the books.
Could not
I
give
read
two
the books
shits less.
and the Attack on
Telling you
Reach and all that other stuff.
yeah, the Halo Fall of Reach video game is the best Halo game.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
would
exactly
rather
say
Story
that.
wise, story wise,
I would rather read the
Yeah.
Gears of War books because I love the Gears of War games. And while everybody is like, "Oh, Gears of War Judgment was a terrible game," like I liked it purely because I've
wasn't
always
bad.
wanted to know. I've always wanted to. Well, honestly, that was the first one where I didn't get stuck on every wall I ran past. Cover lock is bullshit.
Yeah.
The cover magnets.
Boom. Boom.
No, I just want to run straight down this. I just want to run straight down the middle in between these scattered walls. I just want to straight through. I don't want to touch them.
Every time you
Boom,
smash
boom,
the
boom,
fucking
boom.
wall with
No.
your shoulder.
No, but I
Yeah.
always from the get go wanted to know why Baird got demoted to private and would never, ever, ever get knocked back up when he was an officer. And that's what Judgment
Yeah.
did. Judgment told us what happened to Baird.
Here's my thing, though. I read the books of the Halo, and I actually our similar friend Justin.
Oh, the homeless sexual.
No.
Or the
Homeless?
one homeless. He gets into relationships
Okay.
to avoid being homeless.
No, not that guy.
The one whose nose can
That
be a
guy's
10
an
for 10
asshole.
people.
Yes,
10 nose.
Justin.
Shout out to
Yeah,
Justin. Shout out to Justin for always
Yeah.
being the guy that we can count on to keep us covered in the rain. No matter
That's
how
right.
many of us there are, as long as we
He would
don't
literally
exceed
turn around.
50.
He would literally turn around and make fun of my ears. So he
I'm not gonna
he's
lie,
the one that
and I'm
got
a
me
little
onto the
ashamed.
book.
I'll tell you right now, since you brought it up, I'm not gonna lie. I told when I was talking to the Music Man yesterday about how you guys might know each other. I was like, look him up. He goes. I told him your name. I said blank blank blank. You know.
Yeah.
Ears like satellite dishes, like the big broadcasting kind. It's true. On a clear
Can you
night,
hear
we
me
get,
now?
on a clear night, we get Saudi radio when we hang out at John's house.
Yeah.
Um,
Make sure you're not wearing braces.
it's true. When we if you put somebody with braces near him, you can literally get the CIA's cafeteria menu.
Nice.
So, yeah, I ended up reading the books, and in my opinion, I feel game mechanic wise, the OG Halo is the best one.
The only thing,
Well,
the best thing about Halo
as far as
1 was the
gameplay and
pistol.
stuff like that.
The,
Yes, the original Halo is game changing. It was
I like-
historical.
I like
it
the scope,
set
pistol.
tone.
I wouldn't
Yes.
say. Okay,
Story
hang on.
wise, I liked Reach better.
I
really
wouldn't
did
say
because it was
that-
the
hang
Rogue
on.
One of Halo
Hang
game.
on. Hang on, please hold that. I want to touch on what you just said about Halo being game changing. Halo wasn't game changing. It was story changing. That's about it. Most of the mechanics from Halo are literally the mechanics of Unreal Tournament, Quake,
GoldenEye.
Doom.
Right.
What the fuck?
But Halo did something
Halo-
a little bit different than all of those. Is that you see? Yeah, it
Yeah, it
took
gave
it
you a
from like
reload
a
button.
tournament side. It gave it a story. It gave it something that allowed you to. I mean,
Right, but adding a
I say
story
game
isn't
changing
really
because of what it
game-changing.
actually. But it was game changing in the fact that what it did to the gaming industry. Yes, Quake and all them. Yes, they all had the similar mechanics and the Unreal Engine and all that. But when Halo came out, something different happened. Something about it created a whole new genre for that, like it helped create esports and all that other stuff. It when it came out, it did something more
Unreal
than
Tournament
the
already
predecessors.
had esports going on. Halo,
Yeah, Unreal
Halo's-
Tournament. Red Faction
and
even
Quake,
had it before that.
Quake.
Yeah.
Right,
So
but when Halo
when
hit,
Halo
there was
did- when
something
Halo
about it that
it created one of these interior fan bases. It created an interior fandom.
Yeah.
There's already the fandom for that shooter genre, but then
It was also
came the Halo fandom.
It was also a decent
Which
launch
is
for
a
343,
subspecies.
man.
No, it wasn't a decent launch for 343. 343 took over. Bungie is who had the
Oh,
fantastic
Bungie is
launch
Bungie's
for
the
Halo.
original.
We got it.
Yeah.
You can't. But you know, they fucked their fan base when when Halo left Microsoft and lost Halo. They turned around and decided to take it out on the Microsoft players instead of anything else. They didn't hurt Microsoft by getting into bed with Sony and offering Sony all these exclusives. They hurt the Microsoft player base. The people who made Bungie who they fucking were. They would have been nothing without the players. So when they came out with Destiny, they were like, we're going to give all these exclusives to Sony because fuck Microsoft.
Oh,
and-
yeah.
And
fuck
Sony gave
that.
us this money. Yeah, you wouldn't have taken that money if you weren't so fucking sour.
that you pay $60 17 times for.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, it's good again. No, here's my sense. Ready? As good as Destiny 1 ended. Yes, granted, Destiny was made while the schism from
What's up?
Microsoft was happening, so they lost a bunch of stuff. So they had to basically retcon a bunch of shit, and they made it good. By the time the Taken King DLC came out and the final end content for Destiny 1, the game was great. Super fun, super times to have. Destiny 2 should have started at the same peak awesomeness that Destiny 1 ended on. But instead, it started you all the way back over with the same shittiness of Destiny 1. Like like the fact that I literally had to go back to level 0 with a character that we carried over. The character carried over. I had hero status. There were basically statues of me in town. You okay? Like, you're all over the place right now, Rudy.
Yeah, I know.
I think hit the button.
And then they're like, well, it's getting good. You know, it's getting back up to where Taken King was. No. It should have started where Taken King was and gotten better.
Yep.
And then they're talking about
Absolutely.
a Destiny 3?
Yeah.
No, dude,
I don't
I'm
want to hear
out.
about
Like,
it.
as soon
I'm
as
off
you
the
decided,
train.
as soon as you
Well,
decided
they've
you
already
were
removed
pulling
it.
all of your shit off the Game Pass, I was done with
That's
you. I'm
when I
not
was out.
buying. I'm
Yep.
not buying more DLC again. I'm not buying your new DLC. Like, yeah, I want to know about
But hold
the
on.
Witch
I'm
Queen,
not
but like, I'm
buying
not
your-
paying for it.
I'm not buying your 15th DLC. No, listen.
Literally,
I'm not-
and
it's-
to literally come at us after the first year of Destiny and go, hey, guess what? Year 1 was beta. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and here's another thing for me. I'm off the Destiny train, and you know people might be hurt by this comment, but I'm also off the Call of Duty train.
Oh yeah, I
I'm-
jumped Call
I
of Duty
can't-
truck
Listen,
a while
I've
ago.
can't- listen.
long been off
Black
the Call
Ops
of
2
Duty
was my
train.
last one.
I've long been off the Call of Duty train. However, I am willing to look at the first one that comes out after Microsoft's acquisition of Activision. I'm willing to look at.
I'm down with that.
I'm willing to look at it. I'm willing to look at it and give it a shot. I'm willing to look at it, watch extensive videos, do like.
I want them to go back to story.
Story would be good.
That's Warzone shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I like Warzone.
I mean,
but I only
I'm a
like
story
specific
guy.
kinds of
I'm a
Warzone.
story guy.
Like World at War.
World of War. No, Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 1 were my two of my favorite Call of Duties.
Here's
Anything just because
the
of the
thing,
story
though.
alone.
Call of Duty already knows that their main feature is multiplayer. It's
Yeah,
always
it's
going to be
gonna be
multiplayer.
Was Black Ops 2 Treyarch?
I think
Yes.
so. I think it was still
It was
Treyarch.
Treyarch. Yeah.
I love Black Ops. Raise your hand if you have a KD with a weapon over 20 in Black Ops 2.
I didn't do multiplayer.
What weapon?
It was a sniper.
You have a sniper rifle
I
that
have to figure it
has a specific KD of over 20?
Yeah, in fact, I think it was a 22.
I had a 24.64 KD with drumroll, please. Anybody?
I know what it was. The ballistic knife.
He's right. It was the ballistic knife. I had a 24.64
I know, 'cause I was-
KD with the ballistic knife.
Listen, I know that because I was on the other end.
Oh, it's true. He was often on the other end of that knife because we'd go play Sticks and Stones. Dude, I'll tell you a time. I literally was playing.
But I was also really good with the Tomahawk because back then the Tomahawk didn't reset your score.
Yes, it did. It has
Bullshit.
always. Yes, it did. I will tell you right now that I literally the game. I'm literally about to reminisce with you a story. The best game of Sticks and Stones I've ever played. I literally was hanging out. We muted
mine's in the
Jurassic
new
Park.
one.
Jurassic Park was on the TV. It got muted, and my gaming TV got turned up to hear the shit that these guys were talking about me because I was just ballistic knifing and tomahawking people and kept everybody's score at 0 except for mine. Somebody had points, they got tomahawked. And this was back when you could pick up multiple tomahawks because you could go in with perks on your character. So Scavenger,
yeah.
Guess what? I've got 5 ballistic blades and 3 tomahawks
Yeah.
coming at you.
Yeah.
And
One of my favorite ones is on Black Ops, the new Cold War.
but let me tell me. But let me
I have
finish.
a nasty video.
They were talking so much shit. Have you ever been playing a free-for-all game mode and had everybody out there stop fighting each other to all come after you? It's a terrifying thing to see all the little orange triangles suddenly turn and move towards you. And none of them are shooting at each other anymore. They just want you dead. And then to take at them all out and just cycle out 8, 9 more kills before they finally get you. But you know what they didn't do? They didn't tomahawk me, which means I still had 4,000 fucking points. Because the tomahawk always resets your score in Sticks and Stones. That's the point. There'd be no stakes
literally.
if the tomahawk didn't reset your score. What's the point? Why would I even risk throwing a tomahawk at you if it didn't do something cool?
Other than kill you.
They didn't have did they have crossbows back then?
Yes, in Black Ops 2, it was an explosive crossbow.
Yeah.
Right?
It beat.
Yeah. You could get both, but
The Black Ops 2,
it had both arrows.
Sticks and Stones specifically only ran.
Oh,
I'm pointing my hand at you, but you can't
explosives.
see because I didn't have the thing. Sticks and Stones specifically only used the explosive tipped crossbow bolt, so that you could miss your crossbow bolt shot and still get the kill if you timed it. Like if I launched it at your feet,
as you're
snap,
running at him,
you're done.
done. Yeah.
Yeah.
But me, I didn't use the crossbow at all. I only exclusively, bam, ballistic knife, bam, ballistic knife, stab, stab, tomahawk, ballistic knife. Retrieve all the things I've shot, do it the fuck again.
Reminds me of back in the day playing GoldenEye with Golden Gun rule, and where like if you get hit by anything once, you're dead. And then knowing the map well enough that
that if you fire a grenade launcher or a grenade at a wall section, the mushroom cloud would actually cut through the wall to the other hallway and would kill people on the other side of the wall that you wouldn't be able to normally shoot through. But the explosion would always kind of cut through and get them.
Old school
really
first
cheap
person
way to get
shooter.
points.
The gun right here,
Yep.
just the sway while you're walking.
Yep. I am invincible.
The fast run.
GoldenEye.
Hold on.
GoldenEye is
And
the
if you
original.
played
Fast
Odd
run.
Job, you were a dick. If you played Odd Job and you crouched and you ran
fast
around the whole
run.
map as Odd Job crouched, you were a dick. I remember that too.
Moonraker laser. Pew pew pew.
Moonraker Razors, yeah, that's fun. That was I call that the
loved
G.I.
using
Joe
Moonraker.
gun.
GoldenEye was is the OG of the multiplayer shooter.
The first person, multiplayer
It
shooters,
predates Doom. Well, not Doom. It predates
FPS,
Quake, and
Yeah.
because the first Quake was on PC and then there was Quake on 64, but the first
Doom was on PC.
Yeah, Doom and
Yeah.
was Wolfenstein, then Doom.
And then Duke Nukem.
Well, Quake came out after, literally like right after Doom. It's basically the same game, mildly different premise.
Duke is just as old as that.
No, Duke is younger than that. And before Duke Nukem 3D, we actually had Duke Nukem 1, 2, and 3 on the Super Nintendo. They were side scrollers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
They
they
were
were
platformers.
fucking wild. Oh my god. Like, they were so good. The Duke Nukem Super Nintendo series was so fucking good. The graphics were fun. The gameplay was great. The weapons were fucking hilarious. And they felt like rewarding when you killed things with them. Oh my god, they were so much fun. Oh, time check?
Yeah, I gotta.
Okay. So yeah. That was a pretty good time we had here. It's a good chat. This has been.
I never finished. Like I said, Reach, Halo Reach. The reason
Okay,
why I
yeah.
liked it the best, that story the best was, all the other games have kind of hit around Reach and the fall of Reach and everything else. But the actual Reach video game had a great story, but it was also one of those ones where, no matter how many different times you played it, the end result was always the same. Your character's dead. So it's like the same premise as Rogue One. You have all these heroes, all these great storylines with George and Kat and everybody, but they're all dead by the end of it. And that's what I like about Reach is you're not worrying about how am I going to I'm Master Chief, obviously I'm going to survive, blah blah blah. No,
No,
that
you're
was
not
the greatest
Master Chief.
Yeah, no. You were the generation before Master
Yeah.
Chief. Well, right at the same time. I mean, you basically with Reach put the pieces together as to how John 117 came to be. So you went and you got
Why he's
Halsey,
the last
you
Spartan.
got the Cortana. Yeah, you got the Cortana AI, and you actually took that to the people that are going to get to the Pillar of Autumn, I think, too. And you dropped off everything at the Pillar of Autumn. The Pillar of Autumn left, and then you're stuck on this planet. And like the literal last level is just you trying to kill as many of the Covenant as possible before you ultimately die. And I just love that aspect of that game. The whole storyline up until that point, it made you feel something about fuck. My character is now a huge part of the actual history, but no one's ever going to know. No one's ever going to know that Spartan's name.
Yeah,
There would be no John
Reach.
117. There would be no Cortana.
Yeah.
If the group at Reach didn't do what they did.
Yeah. It's like
But you never
Rogue.
heard it. You ever hear of it?
I'll give you Halo.
It's like
Halo,
Rogue One.
Halo might have a great story, but for me, it's every game is just the same game over and over to
ODST
me.
was another game changer when the Halo series.
Fight the
Loved it.
Covenant,
I loved it.
fight the
ODST.
Flood,
Couldn't
save Cortana.
stand ODST. Didn't even like the storyline of ODST.
Well, I liked ODST simply because of Nathan Fillion. That was when he first showed up in the Halo.
Yeah.
Oh,
franchise,
get out!
Yeah. And then now
Oh,
he then
I like
becomes
this
a
game
star.
because Nathan Fillion's here.
Well, that's why I originally played it. I mean, I like the idea of being
My
a
favorite thing about
non-Spartan there for a
Destiny
bit.
2 is when they killed off Nathan Fillion's character. When Cade 6 died, being stupid. Like he did, like how
Yeah.
stupid can you be to
Oh,
know
yeah.
that these guys
He
are out
did die
there,
a
and you
stupid way.
go, hey, let me open up my
Yep.
ghost out here in the open.
Yeah.
Dumb,
Yeah,
dumb,
he literally
dumb,
just
dumb.
went, oh.
And then the ghost got killed, and then he got killed. Like, way to go,
Yeah.
way to go, get a good amount of. Do not pass judgment on these
Did
comics.
you see this?
We have seen them.
This comic
But-
here says Ultra Power guy.
Yeah, there's also one
Looks
over
like
there
one
called
of the
Captain
ambiguously gay
Unstoppable.
duo.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, well, it
But-
looks like one of the ambiguously gay duo from those cartoon shorts on SNL.
Yeah, and we love the ambiguously gay duo, just like we love these comic books and
That
this
was,
glorious hangout in Demio that we have been given generous permission to use.
Exactly.
And
That's where I
are
was going
never
with
going to
it.
make fun
It just-
of anything in here because it's nothing in here. is
No,
worth
I'm just
making
going to
fun
let
of.
you know that
Well, the reason why I'm
That
saying that is
was-
because every time you look, the deeper you look, you find some sort of reference to something else
Oh,
in,
yeah, like,
in the whole
On that-
gaming genre.
Like, there's another one over here called Z People. This is the marvelous bulk in front of you right there, the purple guy who should be the infraggable
Yep.
Crunk, but who am I? And then over there, there's Captain Unstoppable. And the only
Yeah.
thing I can think about her that's unstoppable is her hair. Oh my god, her hair is wild.
Yep.
But it's great. I love it.
Master.
I love it
Hold
all.
on.
Crab
By the way,
Man
the
and Lobster
ambiguously
Woman.
Barbonian.
The ambiguously
Poker.
gay duo was not on SNL.
It was it wasn't for a while. It was like a short in the middle of it.
It was Mad TV.
No, it was in SNL as well.
It was an
It might have been on
Pretty
both,
sure
but I remember it being
because Lauren Michaels was part of it.
Lorne
And that's-
Michaels.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
the guy in charge of SNL.
Yeah. TV Funhouse.
Saturday TV Funhouse. TV Funhouse. Like the little squeeze I did there.
Because they did that one, and then they did that one with there was always George Bush and Barbara Bush. They were always boning.
Oh my god. I'm off.
All right, anywho,
I'm all
I got dinner to make.
All right, well, hang on. Let's wrap it up real quick. We'll wrap together. All right, so hopefully you all got some good information out of this. Either way, you heard our takes on everything.
It was
and
just a
you
fun
It is
fun
fun.
ramble.